And welcome back to today's episode of Expert Showcase. As you know from watching the first half. Oh, you say you didn't watch the first half? Go watch the first half. It's all about Reverend Steele and his hero's journey. Do it now. Watch the first half, then come on back. We're here with Reverend Steele. He's given us his journey of loss and pain and why that makes him the perfect person to help you through, especially if you're going through some personal problems right now in your marriage or, in your marriage or relationship. That's why it makes him the perfect person to help you. In this part, the expert focus segment, we're going to talk about a reverend's view on marriage and divorce. And it might not be what you think. It might be, who knows? You might have made an assumption and it might not be. You're going to have to stick around to see. But he's got the experience because this is his view 4 wives later. So, Reverend Steele, before we dig deep into the 3 bullet points, give us a quick overview of what we're of your view on marriage and divorce and what we're going to be talking about here in this segment.
Well, first, as a reverend, I want to be very open. I've learned some amazing things on my journey, and one of the most important things that I've learned is that you can control yourself, but you can't control others. That's foundational. You can control yourself, but you cannot control others. Not with your prayers, not with your money, not with your good associations. You can't. And my take on divorce is I do not subscribe to divorce. I don't approve of divorce. I don't like divorce. I am not happy about divorce at all. Because there's some parts of me and some teachings and some insight that I received that any person who wants to have a divorce, I'm the last person they should talk to. And the reason why that is because I don't have no support for you whatsoever in getting divorced. I want to make that clear. If you want to divorce somebody and you think that I'm a perfect person because I have a good excuse because I've been divorced a couple of times and you're going to talk to me, no, you don't have support from me. Because I know some things that are going to happen to you and the person and other persons involved that you really, if you think about it, you wouldn't want it to happen to them if you're really sensible, logical, and you did genuinely love the person. And I'm not talking about marriages of convenience. I'm talking about true love marriages that went bad because of communication or because of whatever else that is fixable. That's important for you to know. It's fixable. And I think that the concepts that pastors and elders and a lot of persons who work with relationships they have is correct. You don't need to have a divorce. You do not. You just need to find someone who has the ability to touch on those points that are going to be able to trigger the response that is needed so your relationship can be saved. Because at the end of the day, it is savable, it is fixable. Don't tell me that a Mercedes-Benz just came out and because you don't know how to fix it, you're going to throw it in and buy a new car. No. There are specialists who know exactly how to fix that car, even if it means buying a new part, but not buying a new car. So my concept on divorce is I don't subscribe, I don't support, I don't endorse, I'm not excited and happy about it. Definitely not.
Right.
On the concept of marriage, my take on marriage is so honorable and is I'm not just speaking as a Christian. You notice that I've not quoted any Bible verses, any scriptures, anything. I'm speaking on a natural humanist level, and I'm here as a reverend, but I want to speak as a human being because I don't just want persons to think that because I'm a reverend, I have a Christian perspective. No, I don't have a Christian perspective. I have a human perspective on marriage. And my human perspective says that marriage is honorable. It causes a child to be developed wholly and in the right manner, both psychologically, emotionally, physically, but also it causes an individual to reach their full potential in life because we only use as men the left side of our brain. Women use the right side of their brains. So when you have a man and a woman come together, what happens is that you have the ability to accomplish great things together as a unit, as a team. And that's why great wise leaders when they have a major corporation, they choose somebody who's married because they know that that person is well-rounded.
Right, exactly. Yep, I hear you. So, like we said in the first part, you have to watch it to get the whole thing. But it's kind of like the parts, two parts come together to form a greater whole. So go back and watch the hero's journey. Let's dive right in. In this, we're going to talk about three specific points: honesty, in-laws, and a clear conscience. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm not sure if anybody has ever said honesty, in-laws, and a clear conscience in the same sentence. So I think I might be the first in the world to say that. I don't know. I could be, but because when most people think of those three things, they don't normally go together. But we're going to make them go together, and we're going to get some epic information right now. Let's start off with honesty. When we were prepping for the show, your quote was, "Be honest with yourself before it's too late." Tell us a little bit more about that.
I think in the relationship building stages, you find that we tend to compromise. It's natural. And we don't see it as compromise. We see it as, oh, that's okay. That's not so bad. I could ignore that. That's not a big deal. And 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 because we're doing that, we're building a relationship based on false realities. It's not loud because it's not something that you're freaking out about, but the truth of the matter is it is a problem, and it is something that you're not being honest about, that discomforts you or makes you uncomfortable. So when you're not honest with yourself, then it mirrors to your partner. It mirrors to them. And you're all of a sudden in a position where you're telling them lies because, oh, her best mate is talking to her on the phone, and he's a guy, and you're comfortable with it. It's okay. They were best friends for a really good long time, so it's okay. But you're laying down there stewing, thinking, I wonder what she's talking about. I don't like that. That's not nice. And you have negative about it, but because you don't want to push the person away because you see how they value that person, and you don't want to come across negative, or you don't want to come across like controlling, if that's the term they would use, you tend to put yourself in the comfort zone of, it's okay. But here's the thing: when that happens in a relationship, it's okay. But when you get married, you own the person owns you. That's something that turns on inside of you subconsciously. I'm not trying to say that when you get married you own a person. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you get married, subconsciously that person belongs to you, and you respond and behave in a manner that reflects that, even though you don't say it, because
Yeah.
it's an unspoken. And then that's one of the things that you get angry about now. And all of a sudden you start addressing something that you're gonna hear, but why didn't you say that to me then? Because the person on the other side of the picture now is honestly thinking it's okay with you.
Yeah, well, and I think it sounds like there's a difference because to me, there's kind of like three things that happen in a relationship. There's the things that you subconsciously just deal with, meaning that you don't even think about, and it doesn't even bother you. It really doesn't bother you. It's just kind of out there. Then there's the things that you deal with. In other words, the conscious things that you realize that it bothers you a little bit, but you just kind of put it aside and say, it's no big deal. And then there's the things that you choose to make a big deal. And I think what you're saying, and I've seen it myself, where you have the middle things. Not the things you don't even realize. Because if people are free spirited and they really do not care who their partner talks to, then it's never going to come up. But it's the people in the middle, the people that consciously have to think about and stop from being upset about something. That's where I think the problem lies, right? I mean, if you're sitting there and if you're consciously upset about something, but just saying, you know what, it's no big deal, and you have to think about it. In other words, if you're actively thinking about it, then you should be actively thinking about being honest and saying, look, this bothers me, and then either figure out how to make it not bother you, or make the situation go away. I mean, am I making any sense here? Am I on base? Am I off base?
You're on base with the three dynamics of honesty. The dynamic of you think about it, but it's not a big deal. Subconsciously, it is there, but you know it's okay. Or the dynamic of yes, you are angry, you're upset about it, and but you're just gonna suppress it because you don't want to upset the person. Those are the three dynamics of the honesty. But here's the thing that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the honesty entirely. All three of those dynamics are the dynamics that make up the reality of being honest or dishonest. If you're in a position where you're thinking about it, but it's not a big deal, and it angers you, but it's not a big deal. Let's just stop at the point. It angers you.
Yeah.
Big deal or small deal, it angers you,
Well, I
and
think
you're
that's
supposed to
go
and,
ahead.
and I think that in being honest, you sit down and you wanna talk to the partner and says, "Hun, um, I'll be honest with you, boo. I felt a little uncomfortable when you know, you did that, babes. I forgive me. I don't want you to think that, it's a big deal. It's not really a big deal, darling, but I just felt a little uncomfortable." And then you get the feedback from your partner. If it was a big deal, how would she respond to you? Would she says, "Well, darling, if you don't want me to do that, I wouldn't do that because I don't want you to be unhappy." Or would she respond, "Excuse you? But am I not an individual too? Can't I make my own decisions?" You need to in the early stages of a relationship get the understanding of how would your spouse to be respond
Yeah.
when you have a little issue, because let me be honest, you will have big issues.
Yep. And that's really the key. And I think that the point I was trying to where I was trying to go earlier was that if you don't think about it, I mean, if it doesn't even enter your mind, I mean, literally, if it doesn't enter your mind, then you're being honest with yourself, and you're really okay with it. But
Yeah.
if it enters your mind at all, then you utilize that as a way to say, okay, how I can use this as a way to be honest. I think some people are afraid to be honest because they're afraid of what's going to happen. But, and I think you'd agree with this, but it's better to be honest and take a chance on what is going to happen and have something bad happen, unless it's really bad, than to be quiet and all of a sudden have that really bad thing happen when you're married and when there's a lot more on the line, right?
Yeah, I think I'll share a joke with you. In my marriage currently, my wife and I'm brave. When we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, then I'm brave because I'm like, well, we weren't having sex or anything like that. So I'm thinking, you ain't even gonna get to the stage of marriage because I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I don't care if you like it or not, because you see, I've been married and divorced and I hide my feelings and I walk around pretending, and I'm not pretending to you. So
Yeah.
if you like it, you deal with it. If you don't like it, we'll figure out a way. But I'm telling you straight up, this is how I feel about it. And I used to do that tremblingly. Tremblingly meaning, and I don't know if that's a word, tremblingly. I used to
It
do it.
is now.
Yeah, yeah, we could copyright that word tremblingly. That's Reverend Michael Steele saying it tremblingly. I used to be doing that tremblingly, saying to her these things, anticipating, is she going to say, "No, I don't want anything to do with you," or is she going to say, "I understand your passion," and the truth is, my wife understood. And then the things that were problems, they stopped being problems because she understood it. And we talked about it, and I fell in love with her. I fell in love with, if if she's doing something I don't like, or if I'm doing something she doesn't like, we can just openly talk about it, have a heated little discussion about it. But 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 then right after, "Hon, what are you having for dinner? What are you having for lunch?" Or and
Yep.
those are dynamics that are healthy to have. You need to this put yourself in a position where you can be truthful. That's the crunch of this point. You got to be in a position where you can be truthful, heard or not.
Exactly, because being truthful and starting off from a place of honesty, while it may not feel comfortable, it's going to save you a lot of problems going forward. It's going to save you a whole lot of problems in the future. So that really
Yeah.
leads us into our next point. about in-laws. And you know, like I said, we're talking honesty, in-laws, and you know, a clear conscience. Okay, so what about in-laws can't we deny? What is it? What can't we deny about in-laws?
This is and here's the thing. I have and I want to share from um please bear and I'm so sensitive to this. I guess with time I'll get over it. I have four sets of in-laws.
Yeah.
So and those are relationships that my first wife's dad loves me like his son
Yeah.
to this day. And when we were gonna get divorced, he agreed and he was there with me because he understood what was going on and what happened, and he's still my dad. And that's good and okay. Um, I don't have bad relations with individuals that I'm married to because I believe that when you get married, you marry a family. A lot of people want to get married to an individual and not realize it's a family. Um, but here's something that's very critical. That's very critical. If you get married, your in-law, let's use the term now, man to woman. I'm the man, my in-law is my wife is the woman. So her mother and her father are always going to be in a position where they favor her. You, it doesn't matter how they paint the picture to you, they're gonna favor her. With the son, the mother is gonna favor her son. It doesn't matter. They might show you a negative side, they might show you a bad side, they might show you as the son and the wife might think your mother loves me more than she loves you, and the son in his ignorance might think the mother, but the dynamics of relationship is that the mother knows from wisdom that if she loves the daughter a lot, the daughter's going to treat her son good, and she's going to come home, and the mother's going to get to see her son.
Yeah. Yep.
If she gets on the daughter's side and makes the son angry, the son is thinking that the mom don't like him, and she's always picking up for the daughter, but the son doesn't realize that the mother loves him and wants him to be around. So
Right.
she's going to be on the daughter's side because it's the daughter that's going to bring him around.
Yep.
But she also knows that if she favors her, the daughter, as a woman and as a protector of her husband or her man, is gonna do everything to cause that man to keep from around his mother because she don't want no competition.
Okay. I think I followed you. So I think what you were saying is that when the mother feels that if she treats the daughter-in-law a certain way, that she's gonna see more of her son, but the daughter-in-law feels that the daughter-in-law um, is concerned about competition from the mother because of you know the female dynamics. Is that what I'm hearing?
That there are two sides that you looked at. The
Okay.
mother feels that if she's looking after the daughter-in-law, that she can keep the relationship sweet and nice, and the son will always be there, and she will see her son that she could boast and brag about, all that good
Okay.
stuff.
Yep. Makes sense.
But if the mother now loves the son and is rejecting the daughter, the daughter-in-law,
Oh, okay. I see
the, the
what. Yeah.
the, the,
So
the daughter-in-law now feels as though the mother is going to destroy her relationship and is controlling her man, and she
yeah.
wants to control her man. She don't want him to be a mummy's boy.
So what you're saying is for all guys out there that are married, one of the things I think this is one of the things that you can't deny. For all guys out there that are married, which I'm still single by the way, and there ends the dating piece of my. I have to throw my dating segment in this in every single one of my shows. But
Chris,
but
Chris, you're not single. You've got a cat. Chris, look right
that
there. You got that
that
cat right there.
that's true. Actually, I actually have two. So, but so now I finally get the point. What you're saying is, and I can speak from experience. What you're saying is that we as guys really have to understand that the best possible scenario is actually that while we're married, that our mom actually does treat our wife better, so to speak, than us, because if she was actually, if the mom was still favoring us, then the wife would kind of have the jealousy, which is, it's female to female jealousy. I get it. So she would have that jealousy, which would then, lead to problems in our relationship. And as long as our mom is sitting there and, treating the daughter-in-law is either equal or maybe slightly treating her slightly better than the son, then all the dynamics work because then the daughter-in-law feels safe. She brings the son around. The son gets to see his mom, and everybody's happy. Is that kind of the triangle we're talking about?
Yeah, but I wanna drive something home that's most important.
Okay.
That's a good situation, but here's the thing. The perfect situation is to go visit them on Thanksgiving Day and let them keep out of your business. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you my heart here because you see, it's easier to get divorced when you have your parents supporting you, loving you, and holding on to you because you have somewhere to go. You have an emotional crutch to hold on to. You have somebody that's got your back.
Right.
But when you're in a situation where it's you and your partner and the rest of the world, when you're in a situation where it's do or die, then your level of commitment is stronger. And the arguments and the quarrels and the frustrations, they don't get as detrimental as they could if every weekend you go to see your mom and your mom is telling you, well, if it's getting so bad, why don't you just come home? Or your dad is saying, you know what, you just need to just let her go. So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is ideally the best position in the whole scenario would be for an individual to recognize, leave and cleave. Then shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and vice versa. So that when it comes to the family and stuff, the children get see, and parents who are wise would take a back seat and says, it's none of my business. I don't want to hear. And
Yeah.
when they do that, they put the person at a place where they have to think, focus, and make a rational decision on how they're going to treat their relationship, not depending on the fact that they have someone that's going to be an emotional crutch when they fall through. And the
Well,
same thing
yeah.
goes for relationships and different friends on the outside.
And that's what I was going to say. And I think that is becoming the key. I think emotional support, people need it. I think it's excellent, whether it's religious, whether it's spiritual, whether it's friends. I think it's good to have that because sometimes without that, people, in my opinion, without that, sometimes people can get into a very, very dark place. But there comes a time where you need to make those decisions and you need to make sure that you're making the decision for yourself, not based on what other people want and not based on the fact it's the easiest decision because some of the decisions in the world are the toughest ones to make. A lot of times when people get divorced, what will happen, like you had just said, is either the family or the friends or somebody else will be so supportive and say, yeah, yeah, the guy's a jerk, you should leave him, or she's a jerk, you should leave her. And it compounds things where if the two people were just left to kind of say, okay, figure this out yourself. And then if you want to get divorced, if you figure, I mean, I've gotten divorced. I'm not a big believer in it, but if there, it's one thing where we differ a little bit. I do think some things end up being irreparably broken, so to speak, and I think that, and we can talk about that in a whole nother episode. I think you and I should have a debate on when that happens. I think that actually would be fun. To be honest with you, I think our viewers would like it. I believe the same thing you believe, though, that for the majority, most people can fix things. I mean, it's that things are fixable. I think where I think what you're saying here. And let me wrap this up because this is your show. This is you're the guest. It's not my show. It's your show. You're more important. The point here and what you're really saying, I think, is so true. Is that if you can find a way to balance everything so that you rely on yourself and you end up in a situation where if things happen, all those decisions are being made by you without external influence. That's the best way. I mean, and I think the thing about in-laws that you can't deny. What I took from here is that you can't deny that they're still going to love and still going to act in a certain way, and they're going to try and do what they think is best for you. However, they don't always know what's best for you. Only you and your partner can get together and should be getting together and really deciding what's best for you because your in-laws, your friends, everything else, they don't have to live with you. Your partner does. Right, Reverend Steele?
That's right. It's them that are gonna wake up next to you and get up and go to work, and you're gonna be there or spare. You'll either be there or you'll be spare.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and move into the third point, the power of a clear conscience. You know, in our show prep, we talked about this. This point was going to be the power of a clear conscience and a life goal. So now that we've gotten through the first two, honesty and in-laws, now we're going to talk about a clear conscience. So tell us what you're talking about here when you say a power of a clear conscience and a life goal.
Well, the power of a clear conscience in this segment is referring to those who've already been divorced and they're looking now at going forward and getting married. This is specifically geared to those individuals. The power of a clear conscience means that you sit down and you look at the relationship that you were in. You look at, did I treat my spouse honestly? Was I open? Was I transparent? Did I cheat on this person, or did I withhold things from this person? And I think one of the reasons why I have been able to rise up and bounce back so quickly. I'm 44, and it's such a shame to say you're 44 and you're on your fourth wife. It's such a shame. But one of the reasons why I believe I've been able to bounce back is because I have a clear conscience. I make sure that I give, and as painful as it was, and as much as it ripped my heart out, I've been suicidal, and I'm going to be honest with you. And you know, people look and says, "But you're a reverend. What do you mean suicidal?" But suicidal, but I'm still here. So it just means that I've felt the grief and the struggle and the hardship and the wanting to be away from on this earth, like anybody else would feel if they go through something that's extremely traumatic, or something that has a deep bearing on themselves. So I've been there. And one of the things that kept me was that I sat and I looked, and I had to look at me. I had to take myself off of what happened to me, or what somebody else did to me, and look at me and have a clear conscience, and be at a place where I can become at peace with me, at peace with realizing that there are some things that are irreparable. You know, the Bible has a verse, and I don't take it for granted. Why then did Moses write them a bill of divorcement? And if it was from the beginning, it was not to be. There was not expected to be divorcement, but there is. And the reason is because of the hardness of the hearts. And any person's heart at any given time, in any given situation, can get hard. And we have to allow that. If we're not able to mold back that heart and bring it back soft and supple and all nice and you know, jelly, then we will lose that relationship. Sad to say, it's a reality, sadly. But then the other part about a clear conscience that you need to be to have is when you step into a potential other relationship. If you don't have a clear conscience, you got to remember that the other person is a woman too,
Yeah.
and or a man, and whatever that person does that has the mirror image of what happened to you in the last relationship, you will be re-stimulated, and you will hold that in that person in contempt. You will bring that person into the mind that you were in your painful time, and you will resurface all those things, and you can't get past it.
Yeah.
And the reason why you can't get past it is because you've not dealt with the reality of clearing your conscience. And also, if you cheated on a person, it's harder to believe that the person that you get involved with is not going to cheat on you. I think a clear conscience is, I'm a very naive person to some degree, because one, I never text another person that when I have my wife, I would never text. If I forget my phone at home, I don't run back home. Oh my God, I forget my phone. Oh my God, I hope it doesn't ring. I hope it doesn't ring. I hope it doesn't ring. No, my wife gives me her phone when my battery is when my battery is dead, and I says, "Hon, keep my phone," and I use hers, and she used my phone, and I use the phone as a simple scenario. But you know how serious men are with their phones, and who call them, text them, and WhatsApp them. You know,
Well, and
so
it's funny because when you're a kid, it's fun to have those situations. When you're adult, when you start to progress into adulthood, it gets a little less fun, And then all of a sudden, when you really are an adult, you realize it is way too much work to do all of that stuff. And it's so much nicer and simpler to be. It's so much nicer and simpler and less stressful to just be honest and not be out doing something that you're worried about your partner, your significant other, your wife, your husband, what have you. Not, just be out not doing stuff that you're worried about them, that you're worried about them finding out about. So I love the concept of a clear conscience because you get rid of the old baggage and you don't bring it into the new relationship. So you
Yeah.
also mentioned in here about a life goal. What do you mean a life goal?
A life goal. I can. Today's my birthday, and on my Facebook post, somebody asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I said that I have it. A wife and a son. I have it. And now comes the time to sit down, walk, do whatever, and enjoy those things. If you don't have a life goal, and I'm talking about your relationship now, I'm not talking about business or all that stuff. All those are fringes. You see, a relationship is supposed to encompass the whole of you. And the whole of you means your business, your work life, your supporting of your family, and all that comes under the umbrella of a stable, healthy relationship that makes it successful. And so because of a life goal is what do I want to accomplish with having this person in my life? If your life goal is you want to have good, passionate sex, well, to be quite honest with you, a, a relationship don't stand long on that because you can have good passionate sex with a number of individuals and it just changes all the time. If your goal is to be having one of the biggest corporations and one of the biggest businesses, and you go and marry the CEO because she's at the top of the food chain, then guess what? When you get there and you are sat at the in the corridors of power, guess what happens? She becomes less valuable. If your life goal is to have a Bentley, I've been driving ladders and Scooters for so long. I long for a Bentley. I just want to earn enough that I could have a Bentley. And you and your wife work hard for a Bentley. Then soon from now, you find a girl that looks prettier in the front seat of a Bentley than she does. So your life goal in relation to marriage and relationship has to encompass, I want to see this person get old. Hon, I just want to see how you're gonna look when you're old. Hon, hon, I
Yeah.
just want to be, you see how me and you lay down and we talk all night about all different subjects. Good God, and you look at me sometimes and says, hon, please, I want to go to sleep. And then you open the curtain and you see the sun rising, and you realize, gosh, we've been talking the whole night. You
Yeah.
know, I just want to be in a position where I could sit in a rocking chair and watch the world go by. If we are rich, we do it together and travel. If we are poor, we just sit on one stool and you can sit on my leg together. But the life goal with regards to marriage and stability has to encompass everything about your partner.
Yeah. And I think is really the key. And I think Reverend Steele, that's a great place to kind of wrap this up before I tell people how to get in contact with you and do a few other things here real quick, because I think it's so powerful. Because in the end, you can want all of the financial things in life. And I've been there. I've been senior director for a Fortune 500 company. I mean, I've had it all, lost it all. And what I realized throughout this whole thing is that um, in the end, all of that stuff is should be transient, so to speak, or should be just passing. And the person you spend the rest of your life with, and the person that's right there by you, um, is what really is what's really important, in the whole in the grand scheme of things, and really having somebody next to you that you can love and you can share everything with, and that you grow old and laugh, because there'll be a time when you won't be either running a company or be on stage or be doing what you're doing, and when the lights are off, and when the sun goes down and the lights are off, you want that person there rocking on the chair with you, or whatever, sitting on the beach. So Reverend Steele, I'm going to do a couple things to wrap up before I ask you for your final thoughts, folks. I've just thrown Reverend Steele's website up on the screen. Here's what I want you to do. If you want to avoid divorce and save your rocky marriage, or you want to get back back your life, after a painful divorce, please head over to HopeTransplantMinistries.name.com. It's on the screen. Sign up to Reverend Steele's private web community. He's also generously made a company. You give him a call at 246-255-0566 or send him an email at HopeTransplantMinistries@gmail.com. Request a personal consultation. Do one of those three things. All that information is going to be coming up in the credit reel. If you're just joining us now and you missed the whole thing, then you missed a lot of epicness, and you need to go and watch the rest of the episode. If you want to find out why a reverend who's been through 3 divorces is an expert on the topic of having a happier life and a happier marriage, because he is, you gotta go watch the hero's journey, the first half of the show. If you want to hear him talk more about his views on marriage and divorce and understand the key concepts of things like being honest and why that's so important, having a clear conscience and why that's one of the keys to everything, and something you all need to know, and what's going to happen with your in-laws so you can better handle it, then you need to watch the Expert Focus segment of the show. This has once again been an epic episode of Expert Showcase. Reverend Steele, before I wrap things up and we roll on out of here, is there any final words you want to say and leave our audience with today?
Well, the one thing that I want to leave our audience with is the Bible said it's not good that a man should be alone. And that's a fact. It's not good to be alone. It's good to have a companion, because you see, if it's just your parents, they're going to get old and they're going to leave you. If you have children from a single relationship and you wrap your life around your children, they're going to get older, they're going to have their families, and they're going to leave. And what happens when the lights go out? Who comforts you? Who holds you? Who listens to your conversations that nobody's interested in because they're so busy with their own lives that your conversations don't matter? My word is, look at working on yourself so that you can position yourself to have a companion, because that's all that matters. All the things, the money you earn, the things you do, the people you minister to, all those things are going to fade. But you know what's going to last? Is that on your last dying breath, you know that you have somebody that's there or was there, that you made an impact on their lives and they walked through this life's journey with you, and you made it together to be an example to others of how you can be successful in marriage and relationship.
Epic. And on an epic note, Reverend Steele, God bless. Thank you for being an epic guest today on Expert Showcase. Thank you for all of our epic viewers, and until next time, make it an epic day.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.